Hello Gemini gang, Gemini Sun, Moon Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to my channel. Tarot by the Intuitive Teacup. That's me. My name is Annie. We're going to do your April monthly tarot reading here. So it will include kind of both categories, as I like to call them. Love, romance, relationships, sometimes family and friend dynamics comes through in that one. And then money, career, finances, financial wealth, assets, loans, things of that sort. So stick around for both if you like. You're Gemini, I know you will. So guys, please come into this general tarot reading with an open heart, an open mind, a desire to learn something to better yourself. And if the messages that come through do not resonate with you, push them aside. Don't take action on them. Always safe to assume they're going out to someone else, and they may just come around for you at some point in time. Feel free to revisit the messages in the future as well. Sometimes tarot messages will make more sense later on. So again, just be open to that. You are accountable and responsible for all your own actions and decisions. This is optional advice or guidance, okay? Let's do it for Gemini. Gemini. All right, so money starts to trickle in. You might be struggling financially. The Five of Coins is sometimes kind of like seeking shelter from the storm. It's like you're going through a rough path, rough path financially, or it could just be sort of having a difficult time personally in your life. You may be sort of questioning yourself, your value, your worth. You might be kind of in a slump. It can just be slump energy. If it does have to do with money, you seem to start securing more safety and security, but it's almost like you have to take a step backwards. 5 to the 4 of Pentacles. The 4 of Pentacles, it's stable. It's okay. You're not taking huge financial risks. You're being smart and savvy with your money. But then you get 10 of Cups. So something about this strategy works out for you. Pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I think some of you are really envisioning what your future financial path is going to look like. And the thing is, I think you have a lot of dreams and ideas and visions of what you want to do in this life. And that's great. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the 7 of Cups, but I'm going to keep going off of this. Again, visions, dreams, fantasies. But I think it's not going to happen overnight. I think it's going to take a lot of strength and tenacity, but also sacrifice in terms of what you're dishing out money for. I see a lot of you guys overspending money that maybe you don't have. And so it's time to sort of get into this mindset of, okay, like, not just saving your pennies for a rainy day, but like, what are we actually hoping to build? And I don't just mean financially, but what are you hoping to build in this lifetime? Even in terms of like your reputation and what you do with your life here on earth. It doesn't have to be money focused or money based, but I do see this as starting to implement new structures and regimens and routines in your life that do ultimately help to build your financial wealth as well. So, yes, some of you may have dished out a lot of money for something that was sort of an idea or a dream or something that maybe you had emotional connection to. And I don't mean to be a downer, but for some of you, it's like it didn't go the way you envisioned. It was neither, or it's not to say it was negative or positive. It was just like, all right, well, let me pull back because I think it's like almost like I don't want to get myself in too deep here. The idea of it sounded good, but yeah, it's like the practicality didn't quite match the vision of what could be. That's not saying abandon ship. Some of you, again, there's just a pullback of how much money you're putting towards this to sort of reassess. And not just reassess, but sort of restructure or change it up. Something here has to change, but you're doing it in a way where you don't feel like you're just blowing money in the process. I just keep hearing you're going to have to pull back a little bit. You can't spend as much money, or maybe it's as much hours, time, involvement in this. However, I do still see this as slow and steady wins the race, which I know is something that probably makes Gemini cringe, right? Because you like it now. You want it fast. You guys are smooth talkers. You're money makers, typically really good at sales, things of that sort. This is slow and steady wins the race. There's a bit of a humbling energy here too. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone. It's not bad. It's just life lessons right now. You seem to have, I know this is really random, but for a few of you, it's like you seem to be the person with the money and it's part of your job to help produce projects or give out funds or give, I don't know, allocations, resources to all these people who are wanting your money. And so you're having to be more discerning and selective with who you choose to partner with or who you choose to endorse or sponsor, because again, you got burned by one. I'm almost getting, just as a metaphor, the idea of like a movie producer. It's like you threw all your money into this, awesome action film, and there's stunts and there's CGI and blah, blah, blah. And it like bombed, and you're just like, oh, fuck. Like that's, and in metaphor, guys, I know you guys are not all out there and doing that kind of thing, but more or less, again, the idea of sponsoring people, or a lot of people asking for your money, demanding your money, your time. Maybe it's your wisdom, especially if you're a craftsman in any way. It's like there's a lot of people who want to learn from you and almost put you in the role of like mentor. But for some reason, it's like you feel pulled in different directions, or you're just too stressed or strapped for time. This could also indicate you have your hands tied up in a job, and whether you enjoy it or not, whether money is good or not, you feel like you're having to sacrifice your joy and your fun and your imagination and your hobbies, your side hustles, your things that just make you happy, being able to go for a walk in the woods. Some of you are just like, I don't have time. So again, that's what I mean. There's a reassessment and a restructuring of how you spend your time, and also I'm hearing like how you relate to your body, and I'm not, that's clunky to me, but I also kind of get it. If you're spreading yourself too thin, you're not treating your body with enough respect. And so some of you, again, are needing to have maybe like it's better work or life balance. I could sort of see that. A lot of you are hustlers. You're tremendously hard workers, but at the end of the day, you're beat, like you're exhausted. And so there isn't that, it's not that there isn't the desire to do something fun. You just don't have it in you. So again, how do we reshuffle this so that you can have both? That's such a good Gemini term. It's not just this or that. That's more Libra. Gemini is like, let's have them both, this and that. The Fool, yeah, you guys need to take time to play. You need to take time to be silly. Geminis are very much associated with kind of that youthful, kind of optimistic energy, right? So some of you, you're going to either spend more time learning a new instrument or picking up an old instrument. And I am referencing musical instruments, but as I said that almost sounded like a more spiritual metaphor for like, what is your instrument? Your body is an instrument of this or that, right? It's like something that you're good at, something that it's I'm hearing the word knack. I don't know why that's coming through, but yeah, there's something that you do or you perform or you just do personally for yourself that it's such a source of joy. And the thing is, it's relatively easy to do. It's picking up the pen, it's picking up the guitar, it's picking up the running shoes. And something about that is just like a sweet, sweet relief from what is just okay kind of mundane energy. It's like you're in it, but are you enjoying it? And I don't necessarily sense that you guys are packing up and throwing it away. I don't get that, but it's like, again, balance. We need to make more time for things. Some of you feel like you came dangerously close to losing a lot of money, and it jolted you enough to make you realize that you have to develop better spending habits. There was something on the line and I don't like to do fear-based readings. That's not what I'm about, but the moon is quite literally a card of fear. So some of you have a terrible fear of money. And it's like a psychological wound that maybe you've carried around since childhood. Maybe your parents didn't have money, or the opposite. In fact, I could see that where if you grew up in a household that was relatively wealthy and never really had to worry about money, but then you're off on your own in the real world, there's a sense of maturity of like, well, I don't want to rely on mom and dad anymore, or whoever, right? There's like, I want to go and find my way in the world and be proud. And again, there's that connection of, is your self-worth and value correlated or tied to the amount in your bank account? I wouldn't recommend that. I think that's going to set yourself up for failure. But I do think that there's a correlation to being able to have this evidence of what you're doing and building in the world and having a tremendous sense of self-worth and pride and confidence. Like it's doing it for you, not necessarily for the approval and admiration of others. Because again, that's like a quick trip to disappointment / fantasy island, right? But yeah, it's like you're rewriting your brain and how it works with money. And again, there was some sort of close call with money that really impacted you. It taught you a very harsh life lesson. Yeah, for some of you, it could have, and I don't like to do scary stuff like, fear-based readings. That's not what I'm about. But just to give an example, it could be like, you totaled your car and you're just like, oh my God, I don't have enough money for another car. So now I have to go through the process of, this and that. And you know what I mean? Like there was something like, oh shit. Yeah. Saving money for a rainy day is probably a good thing, not just like tossing it out and, buying a new pair of shoes every weekend or whatever. Anyway, you guys get the point. Ooh, why did I turn that over? Strength. Yeah, practicing more discernment. A lot of it has to do with, again, rewriting thought patterns, which is interesting because I don't have swords here, but I'm sort of picking up on that as like almost addictive behavior. You're having to sort of tame some sort of inner impulse of, when this happens, I do this, but that trajectory has not served you well in life. And so it's, again, you're going back to the drawing board and rewriting I'm hearing like your experience with money, but the way you interact with money. So messages are coming in for you. Yeah, practicing inner strength and tenacity, hanging in there. When the going gets tough, you got to stick it out, right? You just got to put in the work, put in the time. Understand that there's a lot of responsibility tied to this. You are responsible for this in a sense. And so the thing is, I see you showing up and wanting to make it better. I don't see you wanting to escape or pretend it's not happening, whereas in the past, that may have very much been you. I'm too afraid to look at the number in my bank account, so I'm just going to ignore it, that kind of thing, which I know sounds a little bit kooky, but I think a lot of people do that. Because if I don't have to see the number, I don't have to feel the guilt tied to the things I bought, right? Again, self-worth issues. When I'm feeling down and depressed, I'm going to go spend money. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. But then at the end of the day, you're still stuck with you. So it's having to like rewrite your narrative surrounding how much you love yourself and that sort of thing. Yeah, I see this having a lot to do with your subconscious. So it's not operating on a conscious level. If you're someone who's always struggled with money, that's not your prison sentence in this life. It doesn't always have to be that way, but you do have to go to like the root source, the cause of where these unhealthy patterns have started and where they've stemmed from. And then again, like to the source, rewrite it or uproot it and, plant the new seed. And the thing is, for some of you, it's life-changing. You start to see things in a very new way. It's funny, I don't really have guidance I don't really have like counselor therapy type cards, but I do almost get the sense of like, there's a similarity there of, if you want to call it like childhood wounds or something, but it does have to do with your money in some ways that you don't even realize. Yeah, you're becoming rock solid again. You have a good defense to know and spot your old triggers. Yeah. And certain temptations will come about where you do question it or you do feel that temptation to slip into old patterns. But it's almost like you have to have some sort of reminder, a phrase or a little token in your pocket or the idea of doing it for a certain person. But again, I would say that certain person should be you, You have to want to do it for you. This could even have to do with unhealthy eating habits too, pentacles, physical, tangible things. It could be substance abuse. If that were the case, I think I would see more maybe cups. But yeah, I mean, whatever it is, there's unhealthy things that, again, it's a great source of kind of like psychological chaos. But if we can get to the root of it, like you're making huge strides for yourself this month, Gemini. And then the Four of Cups. Yeah, you have this very clear vision of what it could be like. But I think the way you're manifesting it as if it's super far in the future, where it's like you have to pretend you're already living that lifestyle now. And by that, I'm talking more about like, the clean sobriety and, one day I'll diet or one day I'll save my paychecks or I'll be a better, you know what I mean? It's like, it's this thing that you envision and dream about, but it's always once removed from you because it doesn't seem real. It seems like just an idea. I think this is the universe like passing you the torch. Like, you need to make this decision for yourself. Like, are you going to do it? Are you going to hold yourself accountable? Or are you going to say one thing and do another? Like, who's holding you accountable for this new prospect, this new project, this new endeavor, this new lifestyle? The Fool is about a fresh start and being very optimistic and taking a leap of faith. But some of you're like afraid to take the leap of faith because, again, it doesn't seem real to you, and yet you have all these pentacle cards saying, this is real. We can build this. We can take the steps to do it. But do we have the faith to move forward with it? This is like swift and rapid action, possibly into a new cycle in your life. You definitely have some hangups. But the Five of Swords, it's not the best energy, but it is a card indicating major changes, agents of change and chaos, right? But again, it's mental. It's changing your mind. And generally speaking, for the most part, we have control and thoughts over we have control over our thoughts and what thoughts we choose to invest truth in, what thoughts we choose to give power to. So some of you, it's like you're hanging up an old sword that you don't need anymore. This idea, this truth, this fact, this belief, whatever it is, you're like, I don't know if that's the truth anymore. Like, I'm going to invest in these. And metaphorically, I see it as investing in yourself, right? The two swords, like the idea of the twins, the Gemini, right? You are being asked to, again, the idea of responsibility and being accountable. You're being asked to do it for you and to hold to it, to stick to your guns. It doesn't mean you can't ask for help and rely on support from those around you, but they can't do the work for you. Yeah, it's funny. I am actually getting a really big theme of addiction, but it's not necessarily narcotics or drugs. It's again, food, unhealthy spending. It could possibly, I don't know. It could possibly be like sex or something like that. Yeah, it could maybe be that. Or just some habit that you want to shake. Maybe it's not ruining your life. It's like an extra expense, or it's something you could sort of, eradicate from your life if you just had sort of like the persistence and the endurance to move forward with it. So I think you will. The cards are saying that you can, but the choice is yours, and you seem to falter on your way of thinking. Like, some days you're in it and some days you're not. And so maybe this is a gentle reminder to like be good to yourself. Just because you fall off the wagon once doesn't mean you can't get back on, or fall off the horse, however you want to say it. What is your biggest fear? Because fear seems to be your enemy in all of this. With the Moon and strength, you have the strength to do this, but it's like internally you start hearing that buzz or that howl that's, again, it's coming from like the underbelly, the depths, like this hidden fear, or this hidden, I don't know. I keep wanting to say there's such a psychological tie to this. And I mean, that's true with most addiction issues, right? It's not necessarily operating on the highest vibration. It's coming from a more darker, shadowy survival mode even, right? So anyway, might be good advice to kind of go through those thoughts, those memories. This could be a thing about, reliving past traumas or memories for the purpose of like cleansing yourself from them. If that doesn't seem like something you're able to do on your own, by all means, seek out a counselor or a psychologist or someone who can kind of help you go through this once and for all so that you can move on. Because the thing is, you have some really, really strong, beautiful cards of, again, rewriting the script, rewriting a narrative, hitting reset. But I will say for some of you, there's like a close call or a scary situation that makes you like kind of pull back and be like, oh, maybe I do need to stop this, or maybe I should go about this differently. Maybe I should revisit that fantasy or that idea of, someday getting clean or whatever. You're like, oh, maybe I should do that sooner. How can I build that lifestyle now? How can I make that dream a reality? Anyway, Gemini, that was a random one. Let's try and do love and romance. That was 20 minutes. Good Lord. I know. I've lost you all. It's fine. If you stuck around, though, you get to hear about your love life. What can I tell Gemini about love? That whole previous story may have to do with someone in your life, too. You may be dealing with someone who has addiction issues, and especially a Sagittarius. You may need to practice patience and compassion with them. You may be blocking out a Sagittarius that keeps like a stray dog. They're gonna wander into every yard they can find, looking for something tasty. What's the deal here? It doesn't have to be a Sagittarius, but you do have two very strong cards. You may actually have two Sagittarians vying for your attention. Yeah, so there's definitely one who's trying to bring you two back together. The Lovers is a card of Gemini, so possibly some turbulence or something that came in between you, and like they're trying to heal it, they're trying to bring it back together. They think there might still be some sunshine, some light, some warmth, some chemistry in this relationship. And then what is this? Yeah, that one not so much. So I don't know. There's a couple storylines coming on here. You might be dealing with fire signs in general. Aries, Leo, Sag. You have a lot of fire here. For some of you, you have two prospects. This one especially is not new. It's something that, I don't know if it's turbulent or it's just there's been some ups and downs. This could even be a marriage that it's just gotten kind of stale or stagnant. It's almost like you have to revitalize it. You have to rejuvenate it. You have to freshen up the water so that it's tasty and delicious again, right? Again, totally possible with Temperance coming through. That's a big energy. It's a major arcana and it's healing, right? Others of you, and again, that might involve another Gemini. Gemini and Sag energy are coming through really strong. So that could be you, that could be your person, or things in your chart, like Venus maybe in those signs, whatever. Then you have a totally different person, some of you, who this has never been a committed thing. I think there was an open agreement of we're just gonna like hang out and maybe like friends with benefits or like see what's up, but it kind of started to become a booty call thing. And I think some of you were okay with it initially, but now you're like, oh, I feel some type of way about it. And like, but this is a card of not sticking to your word sometimes. It can be like a liar, cheat, or thief card. But when it shows up with the Knight of Wands, to me, this is very clearly like, oh, we know this person isn't exclusive. Like I don't think that was in question at all. For some of you, you may have hoped it was. You may have been coming from a more like, maybe traditional or purist, like, okay, I just want to be with one person, and totally understandable, totally valid. I don't think this person ever said that that's what they were interested in. So some of you may have hung around a long time hoping they change their ways. If that's the case, I see you trying your best to make peace with it and to distance yourself from it because it's just not good for you anymore. Others of you, it's the opposite. Again, there could have been a mutual agreement of like, let's just keep it casual, no titles, this or that. But it's almost like it's again similar. It's almost like an addiction thing. Like I know this is bad for me, but I keep going back to it because I want that hit. I just need that, the sex factor or whatever it is, the company. I need someone to tell me I'm beautiful. And so everything in your logical mind is like telling you that you should go away. Or, you should distance this, but then your impulses take over and you're like, I just can't fight it anymore. So again, there just might be a lesson in what it is you're looking for out of these relationships. Some of you, again, there's two options. Some of you have someone very important and serious. I would say looking for commitment. Or at minimum, trying to heal something with you in a very high vibrational, let's be adults, let's talk about this way. In order to accept that back in your life, you may be at a crossroads because, again, if you're someone who doesn't really want committed relationships, something about entertaining this idea, there's an understanding or an agreement that this is more serious and like, I want this to be exclusive or whatever. So you would more or less have to give up this sort of casual engagements with other suitors, possibly many other suitors. I don't know. It could just be one. And some of you, you're not sure if you're ready for that. Some of you, again, there could be, I don't know if you would call it an addiction issue, but you might feel like you have a tendency to slip up in holding yourself accountable or holding on to those newly set boundaries. And again, you're human. I'm not saying this to point out your flaws or your mistakes, but a lot of you, there's like a psychological fear of, I don't want to let this person down, but like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to ward this other suitor off. Like I may falter. And so again, I'm not sure what to tell you there. I'm going to tell you something similar, that it stems from a deeply rooted psychological thing. So it's not just easy as clapping your, or snapping your fingers and being done with it. And so I don't want you to look at yourself as like, I'm broken. Why can't I do this? It's much deeper than you think it is. So again, going back to the root cause, whether you're participating in psychology type stuff or you're just trying to do like a cleansing, I would even say like meditating on this and asking the universe for guidance, asking questions in your head and seeing what comes to you and what comes from that deep intuition, right? Your connection to the divine. They might give you some gems or at least some food of thought to work with. They might give you some gems. I almost feel like there might be another Gemini coming in here. And not to say all these have to be exes or in the past, but I do see you continuing to connect with people who are half in, half out. Because again, it's like every person you meet, it's some sort of reflection of what the universe is trying to show back to you. So you might be meeting people who are not wanting to commit, and it's trying to get you to understand the deeper reasons of why you feel scared to commit, or the opposite, why you want so badly to get commitment from others, maybe because you lack stability in your life, or as a child you didn't have that, and so it's just like I need someone to be my rock because I don't think I have that for myself. Do you know what I mean? This is like a really powerful message for my Geminis this week. I know you were just like, tell me about the cute Capricorn. I'm not getting those light, fluffy messages. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Yeah, this is a call to action to start your own healing and controlling impulses, recognizing triggers when they arise, and doing your best to act in accordance to these new boundaries and new rules and new regimens that you're setting for yourself. Some of you, there might be some sort of a holistic therapy you start participating in, more metaphorically, sort of like the rewiring of the brain, to get your body to respond in a different way, or to just simply take different actions than perhaps you have in the past. Something about Aquarius or Leo might be factoring into this. Issue or drama with siblings, I also see. Loving yourself more. A lot of you feel like you didn't have an upbringing where there was a lot of celebration for you and your individuality, and so you're seeking that validation in other people, and that's a huge game changer when you start to realize that you don't need validation from others, that you are good enough, and it's really only your own standards that matter. That's a really key thing here. Some of you are still trying to win the approval of someone in your life, and it's not getting there because it was never meant to. It was never about their approval. It was about you recognizing that you are you, faults and all. Love every part of yourself, even the shadow side. It wants love, right? Yeah, I think with some healthy perspective and holistic therapy, but also like just... Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't do medical readings. Some of you may seek treatment for this, and there might be some drug or pill or something that actually really helps you. It helps give you a little bit more structure and kind of pulls you out of the blues or feeling hopeless. Whatever this is, some of you may really struggle with depression or anxiety. Again, talk to a medical professional, not a tarot reader. Again, these are just little energy things I'm picking up on. Some of you, there's something medicinal that could really help benefit you and give you that kind of extra cushion of support that you need. With that, some healthy perspective, you're going to be able to look back to the past and start to see things in a brand new light. For some of you, there was simply misunderstandings and misinterpretations that occurred when your brain was like a little sponge. It was just taking every thought, every idea from everyone around you and, attaching truth or meaning to it, when really it may have just been a comment someone said in passing that held no weight at all, but it's almost like a credo you've been living your life by. I know that sounds, silly to some of you, but there's something about looking back to the past and realizing there was miscommunication. And it's not necessarily anyone's fault. It takes two to tango. Someone had to say it and someone had to interpret it. So really it was a two-way street, but that may actually help bring some sort of reconciliation back in your life, whether it's with a romantic prospect or a family dynamic. Yeah, it's going to give you peace of mind, and it's helping to build your toolbox, your tool belt, your artillery, if you will, for how you combat these moments where you feel like you're not in control, or you feel like you're a little bit shaky, or you're a little bit tempted to go back to something you used to do that you're trying to really. It's like you're fighting your demons, and the thing is, guys, you're conquering them, and the angels are here. The angels are on your side, the divine, the universe, God, however you want to say it. I will say, don't be afraid to ask for help, though. This isn't a battle you have to fight on your own. It is coming up in your love reading, so I can't help but think that maybe some of you are being triggered right now in relationships that are kind of pointing all this out to you. And again, I know it's not the most fun message to hear, but to me, this is so much more meaningful than like, oh, maybe there's a Capricorn coming in. Like, those readings are fun, don't get me wrong. But if this is the reading that comes out, I think this is what most of my Geminis are meant to hear. So, all right, let's give you a guidance card. Some of you, I almost think that there's a strong connection to someone who's passed on in your life, and you almost use that as your barometer, or your, I don't know why I said that, your meter for goodness, for purity, for wholeness, of people who have good intentions and treat you well. And it's almost like you think back to a relative or an ancestor or someone who's passed, and you're like, would so-and-so like them? Would grandma like this person? And again, it's not about meeting other people's standards and criteria, but it's almost like this is someone who always looked out for you and made you they made you feel valid and important. They cared for you. They took concern when you weren't feeling well, or they noticed changes in your personality, and they would check in with you. Again, very strong like maternal energy, but it could just as easily be a male. There's something about when suitors come into your life, I just get this sense of like, would grandma like them? And grandma may have been a wild time too. I don't mean pristine and pure and like, I'm not saying perfection. I'm just talking about like this genuine like souls and energy exchange, like understanding one another. And I think there's a certain person in your life where it's almost like you had a vision or a dream, or you feel this. Yes, this is very important. You feel this person's energy around you, someone who has passed. And I'm talking like ages ago. I don't predict death, guys. You feel this person as like your guardian angel. And when someone comes into your energetic field, like a romantic prospect who you kind of know it's not going anywhere, possibly this person doesn't really treat you well with respect, or it's just deep down, they can't give you what you want because you guys want different things and yet you're still entertaining it. You feel a nudge from your guardian angel, like, keep that defense up. Like, I get the sense that you know what you need to do. You're just having trouble sticking to it. And so what I'm saying is this person is there to remind you. You may even be getting angel messages from them. Maybe it's numbers on the clock or signs, or you see their picture, you see a little flicker of light, and it's confirmations that the universe is looking out for you. That's very important, guys. I got the chills when I said that. You see all these cards? All right, anyway. Some of you feel like you need permission just to exist in the world the way everyone else does. There's like a really severe inferiority type complex. And again, that may stem from comparison to siblings. You may have felt like one sibling was like, champion of the world, especially like Sagittarian type energy or any type of fire sign. In comparison, or even an Aquarius for that matter, you just may have felt like you got the short end of the stick, or maybe you may have had an illness growing up that made you like the quote unquote weak or fragile sibling, or something like that. I'm just getting the idea that you were always looked at in this like, but almost condescending, like, oh, you're not as good as everyone else, or you're not as strong, or, oh, well, poor Gemini. But you took that on as your story of like, oh, I'm not good enough. Everyone feels bad for me, but it's because I lack it, because I suck, right? And again, that's not true. That's what I'm saying about there's this misinterpretation of things that were said where you're just as capable. It might not be in the exact same precision or the exact same details or categories in life. Maybe you're not the soccer superstar that, wins the trophy at the end of the game. Maybe you were in a wheelchair your whole life. That's what I mean. Like, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to kick ass in other areas of life. And I don't even want to say that. I mean, the world is a funny place. I think that you are going to excel in amazing, tremendous ways, but you have to look at it from your own perspective. It can't be to win the acceptance of others, because that in itself is the lesson for you, is it was never about them. It was always about you. It was always about learning to love yourself more and to be your biggest cheerleader, to be your own biggest cheerleader and supporter, and be your own endorsement, however you want to say it. Because that's the thing, you're going to attract, with that, your vibe attracts your tribe. If you love yourself and are just this beam of light, that's excited to be here in the world and do something magical with every day, you're going to attract those people, not these people who are kind of this like, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough and I'm going to fail in committed relationships, so I'm just going to sleep with Gemini and then I'm going to run out the door. It's like you're attracting similar people that are playing out that storyline. Anyway, all right, Gemini. Is anyone still out there? That came right out. Compassion. There might be someone in your life suffering from addiction issues. Practice compassion. Whoops, wrong book. So this is called Indigo Angel Deck. So when I read the description, it's going to reference indigo, and that's just a reference to the team of angels. Compassion. The answer to your question involves treating those around you in the same way you wish to be treated. This card reminds you that how you act affects everything and everyone in your life. This is a time to show the higher part of yourself. As an indigo, you can easily detach and see the big picture in each situation. To move forward, you must exude higher energy, because what you give out is what you receive. So check in with yourself and take inventory to ensure that you are treating others with fairness and compassion. Cool. All right, for Gemini. Career, money, and finances. What do I need to tell them roughly in the month of April about money? I suppose the first one may have had to do with money too, but Eight of Pentacles. Work it. Girl, you better work it. Girl or boy. House projects. I see you putting money into your house. This is honestly just like tooting along. This is like getting work done that needs to get done. It's not necessarily that it's the most fun, but this is a Sun and Virgo card. So the area of your life being highlighted in this card is service and what you provide for others. There could have been some sort of skill or hobby or trade that particularly found its niche in your life, or however you want to say it, during kind of, I say winter months, but that's a very North American perspective. Let's say over the last several months. That it's actually slowly building to become something much bigger. Yeah, there's a new opportunity that comes from a lot of hard work and endurance and dedication to a skill or craft or job or project. The interesting thing I'm getting from this Gemini, though, is that you weren't doing it because you saw a promotion in your future, or you're not doing it because, making myself laugh over here. I lost my train of thought. Sometimes I hear myself say things and it just sounds so weird. I feel like I sounded like Tommy Wiseau. Just do it. If you're going to do it, just do it, Greg. Sorry. I'm having a moment, Gemini. Anyway, you weren't doing it for any sort of trade-off or payback. It was just like, this is my responsibility. This is my job and I'm just going to do it. Or it was just like, I just enjoy this. I'm just going to do it for fun. I'm not doing it for profit. I'm not doing, it just is what it is. It was this very kind of like mundane thing, but you were dedicated to it and the universe rewards you for it. Gemini with the longest tarot reading ever because I can't get my act together. Yeah, it's like passion meets money. Discovering something you're passionate about or something that gets you motivated and excited, something that gets you out of bed in the morning, there's reward in it for you. Let the things that have exited your life exit with grace and dignity and peace. There's a huge need for you to release something that at one point in time you weren't ready to, but the universe has decided that those aren't the ones for you, or that's not the one for you. And so rather than looking at it as a tragedy, right? You're cloaked in this black, dark, it's like you just want to curl up into a ball and cry. I'm going to say it. Sometimes, and I'm not talking about like death, right? That's a whole other different subject. Sometimes I think this can be being a card indicating like you're a bit too much in your feelings. You're being a little bit dramatic about something that you're going to get over it. And again, I don't say that to be harsh. Like obviously if you're grieving the loss of someone in your life, that's not what I'm talking about, right? By all means, grieve. And focus on, happy things and healing too. But this to me is like a misunderstanding of feeling emotionally attached to something that's exited because you thought it was your only option. And that's not true. You may have had to get some sort of job that you weren't stoked about because you lost a job. And you're like, well, I got to pay my bills. I guess we're doing this now. And that's sort of what I mean. It's like you either had no choice or you took something that you didn't have any emotional investment in it. There was no emotional attachment here. It was just, pays the bills. But to your surprise, the universe is like, I almost called you Virgo. Isn't that interesting? They're like, damn, Gemini, like you're kind of great at this. And I'm not even sure if you realize it. But after the passing of, I will say, I'm getting 3 months for some reason. After the passing of that time, some kind of exciting benefit or opportunity or bonus comes from it that reinvigorates you and gets you very excited. Some of you discover in the process of this whatever opportunity or this whatever project deal, you're like, oh, I actually really like this. And not only that, I have some creative ideas. Like I'm passionate enough about this now where like I want to mix it up or I want to add this. It's like you're a cook in the kitchen. And instead of, measuring it out each time, you're like, I'm going to throw a dash of this in it. Because you've seen some sort of success or you identify deeply in some way what you're doing. That, again, originally on paper, you would have just written it off as, yeah, whatever. It's a paycheck. It's a job. It's a client, whatever. It could be a strong collaboration where you guys choose to work together many times in the future. But I think that's why you go into it with such a blah attitude or just like a whatever thing is because you want something back from the past that you can't have. Again, little do you know, though, this is setting you up for some very strong opportunity. Again, strong creative collaboration or just something that you not only enjoy but pays you well. Maybe you didn't have both those things before and you were clinging on to it like, oh, it pays so well, but were you happy? Was it good for your life, for your mental health, your physical health? I don't know. Yeah, okay, that's exactly what I was picking up on. Something in the past you were putting it on cloud 9 or putting it up on a pedestal is like something really great and it defied your expectation. It actually didn't end up bringing you what you thought it would. Or you were making these incredible sacrifices to make it happen, but over time, the sacrifices started to outweigh the positive and what you were taking away from this experience that you liked. It came to an end and you certainly weren't happy about it, but again, this is to me a lesson of blessings in disguise. Rejection or layoff or whatever this is divine protection because it sets you right. It aligns you to the right path. And there's a period of wait. There's a period of like a slow 2 or 3 months and you're just like, going through the motions. Whoa, baby, this looks good. It gets better from here. It gets much better. So I again, just reiterating, I would let this go gracefully. Have faith. And sometimes that can be tremendously hard. Have faith that the universe is pushing you in a good direction. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes it's awkward, right? That sort of agitation that you have to take action even though you don't feel ready or you don't feel well informed or you're questioning it. If you feel the push, if you feel the nudge, sometimes it's going off of that gut impulse of, you know what, I don't totally get this, but I'm going to hope the chips fall or the pieces fall together and it starts to make sense in the future. It does. It does. Have faith that something exited your life for a reason or you were set off in another direction for a reason. Yeah. Something that was actually causing some deeper, I don't know if it's psychological wounds and damage. We've talked a lot about that, but something that just wasn't necessarily good for your mental health in the long term. Maybe not immediately, right? Maybe you're like, listen, I did that job for a year. It was fine. I was ready to do more of it. The universe begs to differ. The universe is like, ooh, let's get Gemini out of there. We have to remember too, as dark as this card looks, this is the sun in Gemini, right? The sun is all about illumination and warmth and creativity and self-expression. You would have had to sacrifice all that to stay in whatever this was that, oh my gosh, are you clinging to it? You don't want to let it go, but I'm sorry, boo, it's not the one. This is also a sun card, and this is about identifying with the work. Eights are about liberation and freedom and allowing yourself to shine and come through. You may have been a person who was very comfortable just kind of being the middleman or being the yes man or the yes woman, right? Not a gender thing. But I almost think the universe is like, this is your time to shine. Like you're capable of so much more and you know it, but I don't know. It's like you fear the attention or the praise. And again, it's stemming back to something deep within you that I'm not sure you're consciously realizing. This is like a transformation of the soul. I know we were asking about money. I keep getting really deep messages for you, Gemini. So, Eight of Pentacles looks stable. I don't think you're going to enjoy it at first, but then you get some sort of electrical jolt of how to make this more fun or entertaining. And there's two rewards possibly that come from it, or a collaboration or some sort of networking opportunity. It ends up lighting your fire. Yeah, you find your path. You find your calling. The twins have been reunited internally. It's an internal battle. I read once that Geminis go out into the world searching for their other twin, which I read that and I thought that was so heartbreaking. But obviously it's a metaphor, guys, right? But it's almost like you find your place in the world. It's like things make sense again. There's some sort of collaboration or collision of the divine where it's like you stumble across what you were always meant to do. I like that. It might involve another Gemini. All right, that's what I got for you. I think I'm actually going to wrap it here. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and I will see you very soon for more tarot. Bye, Gemini.